Be me, Henry, 28, sysadmin for a mid-sized company. My life is pretty standard. Work from home a few days a week, go to the office, fix things people break, go home, play video games, hang out with friends. We have a solid friend group, maybe 15, 20 of us. A mix of guys and girls who've known each other for years. Some since high school, others from college or work. The central hub for all our communication is a Discord server. It's our digital clubhouse. We have channels for gaming, for memes, for serious discussions, for planning meetups. It's always been a chill place. Keyword: been. Sometime last year, one of the girls in the group invited her friend Lori to join the server. At first, she seemed normal enough, quiet, mostly hung out in the general chat, posted a few memes. But then we started to see her true colors emerge. Slowly, like a creeping vine, her specific brand of social justice activism started to choke every conversation. It wasn't about equality, it was about a very specific one-sided worldview, where men were the source of all problems and women were the perpetual victims, even when they were clearly being the aggressors. The first major red flag was a conversation about online dating. One of the guys, a genuinely good dude but on the shorter side, was venting about his struggles on Tinder. He posted a screenshot of a girl's bio that just said, 6'2" or don't bother swiping right. Seriously. He wasn't even being that bitter, more just exasperated. Man, the market is rough, was all he said. The chat was sympathetic. Yeah, man, it's brutal. Don't worry about it, her loss. Then Lori descended. A wall of text appeared. It was a lecture. A full-blown seminar on why women are not only entitled to have height preferences, but why it's a completely valid and non-negotiable standard. She went on about how it's a biological imperative for women to seek out taller, stronger men for protection. How a man's height is a proxy for his ability to provide and secure. She claimed that any man who complains about this is just revealing his own insecurity and fragile male ego. It wasn't a preference to her. It was a woman's fundamental right to filter out men she deemed physically inadequate. A few of us tried to gently push back. Arthur, my closest friend in the group, pointed out the double standard. He asked, so if a guy put must be under 120 lbs in his bio, that would be okay too, right? It's just a preference. The channel went quiet for a moment. You could practically hear her typing furiously. What followed was an even bigger wall of text. She called Arthur's comparison disgusting and misogynistic. She explained in painstaking detail how a woman's weight is a sensitive issue tied to societal pressure and unrealistic beauty standards imposed by the patriarchy. A man judging a woman on her weight was an act of oppressive violence. A woman judging a man on his height was an act of empowered self-selection. See the difference? We didn't. But arguing with her was like playing chess with a pigeon. It would just knock over the pieces, crap on the board, and strut around like it won. So we let it go. But a seed was planted. After that, we started noticing it everywhere. Her hypocrisy was a constant background radiation in the server. I remember another time, a few months later. One of the guys in the group was going through a tough time. He was working insane hours, dealing with a sick family member, and just generally feeling burned out and depressed. He posted in the serious discussion channel, just looking for some support. People were being great, offering encouragement, telling him to hang in there. Then Lori showed up. Her response was not one of empathy. She told him that, while his feelings were technically valid, he needed to recognize his own privilege. She wrote that men rarely have to deal with the kind of systemic emotional labor and societal invalidation that women face daily, that his burnout was a product of the very hustle culture that the patriarchy created to benefit men. In essence, his problem was a man-made problem, so he had no right to complain about it to women who suffer real oppression. She completely dismissed his pain and turned it into a talking point for her own agenda. The guy just typed okay and didn't post in that channel again for months. It was after that incident that Arthur, myself, and a few of the other guys decided to make a private chat. We called it the Gents Lounge. It was our sanctuary, a place where we could talk freely without having every single word scrutinized through Lori's ideological lens. It became the place where we decompress after one of her tirades. Screenshots of her most ridiculous statements were posted there daily, followed by a chorus of, "I can't believe she actually said that," It wasn't a place for hate, it was a place for sanity. It was validation that we weren't the crazy ones. The main server, meanwhile, was becoming more and more tense. People started self-censoring. Jokes were no longer told for fear of being labeled problematic. Lori had become the unofficial thought police of the server, and the fun was slowly draining away. She would constantly talk about toxic masculinity. To her, anything a man did could be toxic. If you were quiet and stoic, you were emotionally stunted and reinforcing harmful stereotypes. If you were loud and confident, you were arrogant and taking up too much space. If you offered a solution to a problem someone had, you were mansplaining. If you didn't offer a solution, you were demonstrating apathy and male privilege. There was no winning. It was a constant stream of accusations and tests that we were all failing. Arthur was the only one who still had the energy to challenge her sometimes. He was always calm, always logical. He'd point out the flaws in her arguments, the contradictions. Her response was always the same: get defensive, call him a misogynist, and accuse him of being part of the problem. He never took the bait, which seemed to make her even angrier. The tension had been building for months. It felt like the server was a powder keg, and we were all just waiting for a spark. The spark came on a Saturday night a few weeks ago. The server was pretty quiet. Most people were out or busy. Then, a notification popped up in the general chat. It was from Lori. She had posted a picture of herself. It was a very calculated selfie. The angle was high, the lighting was perfect. There was definitely a filter smoothing things out. She had that faux coy expression on her face. Underneath the picture, she wrote a caption. "Just feeling curious tonight, LOL. Let's do a little social experiment. Rate me on a scale of 1 to 10. I want to see male objectification in real time. Don't hold back." The chat went dead silent. Everyone knew this was a trap, a massive, glaringly obvious trap. If you gave her a high score, like a 9 or 10, she'd get the validation she was clearly fishing for, and then probably lecture you on putting women on a pedestal. If you gave her a low score, you were a hateful, bitter incel who punishes women for not meeting impossible beauty standards. If you refused to participate, you were a coward who couldn't handle a strong woman's directness. It was a masterclass in manipulation. A situation designed so that she could claim victory no matter the outcome. In the main chat, one or two guys who always tried to keep the peace gave some non-committal, safe answers. "Looking great, Lori. Definitely a 10 in personality." They were transparently trying to defuse the bomb she had just rolled into the middle of the room. But in the gents' lounge, the conversation was very different. The screenshot of her post appeared almost instantly. "You guys seeing this? Is she for real? It's a trap. Do not engage." We all knew it was bait. We were all ready to just ignore it and let it fade into the chat history. But then Arthur typed, "No." We waited. She asked for an experiment. She said, "Don't hold back. Let's give her exactly what she asked for. Honesty." There was some hesitation at first. One guy said, "Dude, it's not worth the headache. She'll explode." Arthur's response was simple and profound. "So what? We spend all our time walking on eggshells around her. We censor ourselves. We let her dictate the rules and move the goalposts whenever she wants. She dismisses our problems, insults our character, and holds us all to impossible standards that she herself never has to meet. And now she's demanding we play another one of her rigged games. I'm tired of it," he continued. "She wants an honest rating. Let's give her an honest rating. Not a cruel one, an honest one. We will conduct her experiment with the fairness she pretends to champion." A switch flipped in the chat. He was right. We were tired of the double standards, tired of the hypocrisy. The mood shifted from apprehension to determination. We were going to do this. Arthur proposed a system. We would do it as a group, so it wasn't just one person's opinion. He said we should rate her on a few different factors and then find the average. It had to be fair. We agreed we would do this by the book, her book. First, physical appearance, based on the photo she posted and what we knew of her in real life. The discussion was surprisingly detached and analytical. The photo is heavily filtered. You can see the skin smoothing. In person, she doesn't put much effort into her appearance, usually baggy clothes, no makeup. She's not ugly, but she's not stunning either. Perfectly average, a solid 5. I'd say 6 on a good day, 4 on a normal day. So 5 is a fair average for looks. We all agreed. Physical appearance, 5-10. Next, style and presentation. This was quicker. Her whole aesthetic is, I'm above caring about my looks, which is fine, but it's not visually appealing. It's mostly t-shirts with political slogans, a lot of gray and black. Let's be generous and give it a 310. Done. Style 310. Finally, Arthur said, we had to include the most important factor, the one she always claimed was all that mattered, personality and character. This was a grim discussion. We weren't angry, we were just tired. We recounted the incidents, the dismissal of our friend's depression, the constant lectures, the hypocrisy, the way she made everyone feel on edge. She's condescending, she's arrogant, she's never wrong about anything, ever. She has zero empathy for men. She treats every conversation like a debate she has to win. We tried to find some positives. Well, she's passionate about her beliefs. Even that was a stretch. After a few minutes of listing off her negative traits, we had to put a number on it. Based on how she treats us and the environment she creates, it's a 1, maybe a 2 on a day she doesn't talk. We settled on a 210 for personality. It felt generous. Now for the math. Arthur laid it out. Looks 5-10, style 310, personality 210. He said, let's weight personality heavier, since that's what she claims is most important. We did the calculations. The numbers crunched out to somewhere around 3.6. Arthur typed, okay, let's round it up to be fair. The final number was 4. We all stared at the number on the screen. 410. It wasn't an insult. It wasn't an attack. It was a conclusion. An honest, calculated result based on the data she had provided us over the last year. It was the truth. There was a moment of silence in the gents' lounge. Then someone typed, who's going to post it? All eyes, digitally speaking, turned to Arthur. He was the one who started this. He didn't hesitate. I'll do it, he wrote. She wants her experiment. She's about to get her data. He switched back to the main server chat. We all held our breath, watching the Arthur is typing notification. It felt like we were watching a bomb disposal expert snip the final wire. The notification disappeared, and his message appeared in the general chat. It was short, clean, devoid of emotion. Okay, we discussed it. Our group consensus is a 4 out of 10. The silence in the general chat was deafening. For a full minute, nothing happened. Not a single person typed. It was the kind of digital silence where you know everyone is staring at their screen, reading and rereading the message, waiting to see who makes the first move. The 3 dots indicating Lori was typing appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, her first message came through. It was a single, forced laugh. Ha ha ha. Wow, you guys really committed to the bit, huh? She was trying to play it off as a joke, trying to reclaim control of the situation by pretending she was in on it, that this was the outcome she expected from her experiment. Arthur didn't reply. None of us did. Our silence was the answer. It told her this wasn't a joke. Her tone shifted immediately. The pretense of amusement vanished. Seriously? A 4? What is that even based on? Did you just pull a number out of a hat to try and hurt my feelings? She was probing for a weakness, looking for an angle of attack. She needed us to give her an emotional reason so she could dismiss it as bitterness. But Arthur didn't give her one. He remained silent. This seemed to frustrate her even more. Who is we anyway? Did you all get together in your little boys' club to decide my worth? That's incredibly toxic. It's literally a textbook example of mobbing. She was throwing out her usual buzzwords, trying to frame herself as the victim of a coordinated misogynistic attack. In the main chat, the silence from everyone else continued. Not a single person came to her defense. None of the other girls, none of the peacemaker guys, nobody. The lack of support was a visible blow to her. She must have expected her allies to rush in. Her messages became more frantic, more pointed. She started tagging people directly. Arthur, you're the ringleader of this, aren't you? It's always you. You can't stand that I challenge your worldview. Then she started going after the rest of us. Hey, Henry, I always knew you were one of them, quietly sitting in the background, judging everyone. It's the quiet ones you have to watch out for. She went down the list of guys from our private chat, accusing each of us of being hateful, insecure, and intimidated by her. Her monologue of accusations went on for several minutes, a solid wall of text painting us as the villains. We were all watching in the gents' lounge, silent. We had made a pact. Arthur would be our only spokesman. We wouldn't get dragged into individual slap fights with her. Finally, after she had seemingly exhausted her list of insults, Arthur began to type. We all watched, waiting. His second message appeared. It was as calm, concise, and devastating as the first. He wrote, "Lori, the number isn't the point. You can be a 2 or an 8, it doesn't matter. The problem is that you are a 4 who demands the treatment and privileges of a 10, while you simultaneously grade every man here as a 1 for the slightest perceived flaw. We didn't invent a new standard. We just applied your own standard to you. Be realistic." That was it. That was the kill shot. The entire argument she had constructed, this entire narrative of her being a victim of misogynistic rating, was completely dismantled. He hadn't insulted her looks. He had held up a mirror to her behavior, and she shattered. The response was immediate and volcanic. All caps, no punctuation in places, a stream of pure, unfiltered rage. How dare you? How dare you twist this? This isn't about my standards. This is about your hatred of women. You think you're so clever with your fake logic, but you're just another bitter man who can't handle a woman with opinions. Be realistic? You want me to be realistic? Why don't you be a decent human being for once in your miserable life? Arthur. The personal attacks became vicious. She attacked his job as an engineer, calling him a soulless cog in the corporate machine. She attacked his hobbies, his interests, anything she had ever learned about him. She went after me next, calling me a socially awkward basement dweller who uses computers to hide from the real world. She was trying to hit us where she thought it would hurt, using every cheap shot she could think of. Then she made her final, fatal mistake. She tried to rally the other women. She started tagging the other girls in the server, one by one. E Jessica, o Emily, o Sarah. Can you believe this? Are you seeing this attack? Are you going to let them get away with this? It was a desperate plea for backup, a call to arms for her gender. This was the moment of truth. Would the server split down the middle? The response she got was probably not what she was expecting. Jessica, who was usually very active, typed a single sentence. Lori, I don't want to get in the middle of this. Emily didn't respond at all. Sarah, who had been friends with Lori the longest, gave the most telling response. You kind of asked for it when you posted the picture and the question. That was it. Her own allies had abandoned her. They were just as tired of her behavior as we were. The public humiliation was complete. She had no one on her side. This final betrayal sent her over the edge completely. Her messages devolved into incoherent threats. She was going to expose us. She was going to post screenshots on Twitter and tell everyone what a toxic, misogynistic cesspool this server was. She was going to ruin our reputations. It was at that point that the server admin finally stepped in. The admin was one of the oldest members of the group, a guy in his late 30s who usually stayed out of the drama. He was the neutral party. A new message appeared, highlighted in the admin color. Lori, that's enough. His message was calm but firm. You initiated this. You asked for a rating and explicitly said, don't hold back. When you received an answer you didn't like, you proceeded to launch personal attacks, harass multiple members, and are now threatening to dox the server. This is a clear violation of rules 1, 3, and 5. Consider this your only warning. Lori's response was to spit venom at the admin. Of course the male admin sides with the other men. Classic. This whole server is a boys' club. You're all complicit. The admin didn't argue. His next message was simply, goodbye, Lori. And just like that, she was gone. A system message appeared in the chat. Lori has been kicked from the server. The general chat fell silent once more. But this time, it wasn't a tense silence. It was a peaceful one. It felt like a year-long storm had finally passed. After about 5 minutes of this peaceful quiet, someone posted a gif of the little girl from the Disaster Girl meme, smiling in front of a burning house. The chat erupted in laughing emojis. The tension broke completely. In the gents' lounge, the mood was one of quiet relief. Arthur just typed, well, that happened. We thanked him for taking the heat. He just shrugged it off, digitally speaking. He said someone had to do it eventually. The days and weeks following the incident were different. The main server felt alive again. People started joking around more. The edgy memes came back. Conversations about dating or personal struggles could happen without fear of a lecture. It was like we could all breathe again. The other girls in the server seemed more relaxed too. They started participating in conversations they used to avoid. One of them privately messaged me a few days later. She said, "Hey, just wanted to say, thanks. We were all tired of walking on eggshells too." That was when I knew we had done the right thing. This wasn't some victory for men over women. It was a victory for sanity over ideology. A victory for a community over a toxic individual. Lori tried to make good on her threats. We saw a few vague posts on her Twitter about toxic male spaces. But with no names or screenshots, it got no traction, and she gave up after a day. We never heard from her again. Looking back, it was never about the 410. That was just the catalyst. It was about the constant hypocrisy, the endless double standards, the refusal to see men as human beings with their own struggles and feelings. She demanded respect that she was completely unwilling to give. She demanded empathy she never showed. She demanded that we adhere to a set of rules that she believed did not apply to her. She didn't get kicked for her beliefs. She got kicked because when someone finally held up a mirror to her, she couldn't stand the reflection. Arthur's final message to her echoes in my head sometimes. Be realistic. In the end, that's all we were asking for. A little bit of realism, a little bit of fairness. And now, in our little corner of the internet, we finally have it. The server is better than ever. The friendships are stronger. The peace is priceless.